It's almost as much fun as a fun Friday. But fun Fridays have booze.
Okay, I think we're good. I think we're recording here. Um, so here we have Dr. Laura Schwalik. Is that how I say that, right?
Yes, that's
And
correct.
Jerry Kazaya, and these are Client Court Inner Circle members. Also, just awesome people who we learn stuff from every day. You guys, started working with us about like a month and a half ago?
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, not quite too much yet.
Cool. Yeah. And it's been great so far. And, just as we've started to work together, I realize how many companies and businesses you guys have. And it's just like, you guys have a whole empire going on. So, we have a lot of people, we have a lot of people following us. And they would love to hear some insight. I think in the entrepreneurial world right now, there's a lot of people are jaded by quick success. They see the cars, they see the money, but they don't really understand it's a long-term game, right? There's no quick success. And so I love to hear from people who've been in the game long. And you guys have been through different economy changes, different market changes, so much different adversity, and you're still here today, thriving. I know you have a ton of employees, so it's awesome. So why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about yourselves and what you have going on?
Okay, let's do that. Laura, you want to start?
Nope.
All right. Well, my name is Jerry Kazaya. I own and operate several multi-million-dollar companies. We've been so basically, I started literally in the driveway of my house as an auto mechanic. My wife jokes with me. She says, "You need to be on stage as the millionaire auto mechanic." And I thought, that'd be really funny, wouldn't it? But as it is today, we own 5 different companies. We have the largest independent auto repair facility in Northeast Texas. Wow. So imagine we started from the driveway of my house to our building today. You can put 110 cars inside. We have car washes, retail shopping centers, auto repair shops. I have a bit of a wine bug, so I got into the wine business. I used to have an interest in a high-end wine store, and that changed when they went into spirits. But that's a whole nother conversation. And really, my love, other than my wife and my kids, is helping small business owners to learn how to run a business. Unfortunately, the majority of the folks out there, they treat their business like a hobby, and then they wonder why it doesn't work for them, and how come they're not getting the results that they want.
Yeah.
And it's really crazy to me that someone would put so much effort and so much hard work and accept mediocre results. Listen, honest to God, running a business can be very stressful. You need to be freaking paid for doing it. Otherwise, listen, I can be your best friend. I can be your worst enemy. If you're not willing to do what it takes and to set the groundwork for it, it's better off if you go get a job. Go work 9 to 5. You'll have no stress, and you'll make probably better money than you will if you're sitting there doing your business halfway. I'm just going to tell you that. I started my company.
True.
I started in 1981. There's a lot of folks that probably told me over the years, "Why are you still in business? Why didn't you quit?" Well, you know what? Because the people that are successful are the ones that are persistent, that have a plan. You've got to have a plan, and you've got to stick to the plan and work the plan. There you go. How's that for an intro, Corey?
That's an awesome intro. Well, I like it's ironic. One of my original mentors had said the same thing about getting a job, and it's funny because I had been trying to do things online, and everyone's just pitching the dream, and then it was shocking to hear what you just said for the first time, which was a few years ago, and it was like, listen, you're better off getting a job if you don't want to really put in the time and work for this, because right. Again, like you said, there's times where you could work a week, 2 weeks, sometimes a month or more, and not get paid. And that does a lot to you. It's stressful not knowing where the next client is coming from, or the next customer, or if you're even going to have customers, or if you're going to get a permit from the township to be able to run a business here, or get licensed to do that. And then now in today's day and age, you make one little mistake and, Yelp, Google, everywhere you go, you could have your name tarnished. So it's there's a lot sitting on your shoulders. And of course the rewards could be good, but keyword could be good, right? So you have
Could
to,
be.
yeah, it could be. You have to keep pushing for that.
It's really funny, dude. You talk about having the towns or the cities or the townships, one small little thing. So in my company, we've been here in this building since 1993.
Wow.
Right? So some of the folks that are going to be listening to this later on probably weren't even born then, right?
Yeah,
and I'm cool with it.
94.
Okay, well, that's fine. But we added car sales to our project, and the city came by and they actually sent us a cease and desist letter. Told me we had to stop doing business, and we had to jump. I said, we called them up and go, what do you mean we got? What are you talking about? They said, well, you don't have a certificate of occupancy. You don't have a CO for the business. I said, I've had a CO since '93. What are you talking about? They said, but not for selling cars. So we had to jump through all the hoops all over again to get into compliance with the city. I mean, it was just, what a silly experiment. But they needed the $100. It was $100 permit application. The guys walked through our place and said, "There's, you're fine." And we got the permit, of course, and here we are. But you've got to make sure that everybody's happy with what you're doing.
Yeah, it's a big. There's a lot of people, and then when you're paying people too, it's a whole other ball game too, because now you're responsible for other people. So yeah, there's a lot to it, especially as you're growing. I have some questions written down here, and I just.
Oh, hold on a second. I want to say something now.
Yeah, Laura, I still want the intro from you. We were waiting for you to pop in here.
Jerry said some really valuable things. And one of the things that he said was regarding focus and making sure that you stay the course. And there are a couple of sayings that Jerry and I have. And one of them is, keep the main thing the main thing. Diversification in your financial portfolio might be a good thing, but when it comes to your main income, keep your focus on the main thing. If it doesn't increase the ability of the main thing to get bigger, better, faster, stronger, then your focus is someplace else. So that's one thing. Okay. The other thing, and just a little bit about me, I started off as a chiropractor, and I did that for 20 years. Okay. And chiropractors, after graduation, the ones that start their own practice like I did, last less than 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Yeah. After 10 years, most chiropractors go into some other field.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yes. And so there's a phrase that you might have heard, and it's called burn your bridges. And just the brief story about this, there was an army.
Your boats.
Yeah. Burn your boats. Sorry, burn your boats. Thanks, Jerry. There was an army that had to go to war against another country, and it was on another island. And so what they did was they packed up their family, their children, their supplies, their everything they owned, put it on the boat, sailed across to the other island where they were going to go to war, and then they burned their boats. Why did they do that? They did that because then they knew they couldn't lose. There was no way out. There was no way to, you either won or you died.
Yeah.
And to have a business long-term through a recession, to help yourself to be recession-proof, and that's one of the things that we'll talk about, is to make sure that you have burned your boats. Don't have a little bit here and a little bit there and have your focus be so diffuse that you end up with nothing. One rider cannot ride two different horses at the same time. So keep the main thing the main thing.
Can I touch on that just for a second?
Yeah, and also, because this is a topic I wanted to bring up, I'd rather bring it up now than later, because I know people watching want to hear about that recession-proof topic. If we can elaborate on that too, I mean, I love that. That's something a lot of people in my generation they won't talk about it, but in the back of their head, I mean, we're all thinking about it, right? Like, what do you do as the economy changes, right? How do you set yourself up for that? So yeah, I'd love to hear more on that.
Okay, so first of all, before I get into that, before we
Okay.
touch that subject, Laura's talking about the main thing is to keep the main thing,
Right.
right? And people come up to me and they say, well, that sounds really good. And it sounds great that you say that. But the reality of it is, Jer, you own 5 companies. Which
Mm,
which one is your main thing? And how is it it's okay for you to do it, but you don't want
right.
me to do it?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's a darn good question.
It is a good
So
question.
Good point.
so here's my point on that. And my point is the main thing has to be the main thing completely until you get your business to the point where it's staffed properly, you have your
Mhm.
systems in place, and you can walk away from the company for at least 30 days without one phone call, without one email, without any communication, and the business continues to escalate and continues to grow without you. If you have that, now is the time for you to look at what else can you do, because you should have as so a lot of folks when they start the business, Corey, what they do is they look at their business as a job. They don't create a business for themselves, they create a job.
Right.
Well, for me, right, for me, most of my companies I want to make sure that everything I say is 100% accurate. Most of my companies are run from an investor standpoint today. For
Okay.
example, the car wash. All right. I walk over to the car wash. I drive up to the car wash. I'm inside the office. I don't even have passwords to the computers.
Wow.
I don't have a key to the front door. I
Okay.
don't want it. I don't want it. I wouldn't know how to put a part effectively on a repair order in my repair shop because that's not my job. My job is to be the strategic planner for the business. My job as CEO is to properly and adequately dispense funds and take care of the money and set the direction of the company. It's not doing the day to day, right? So here's a visual I want you to put in your mind. If you think back to some of the old movies that we've seen, primarily about war movies, right? Some World War II movies, for example, or World War I movies. You'll see that the generals, where are the generals at? They're in their strategic planning where they've got the little soldiers on the maps and they're pushing them all around. And they got the boats coming in this way, you got the soldiers heading this way, right? Are they shooting the guns? No, absolutely not. But a lot of business owners feel that they have to be in the trenches shooting the guns
Mm,
as opposed to being in the planning room creating the strategy to win the war. Does that make
right.
sense?
No, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
So me and my job and what I do, I'm in the planning room. That's what I get to do. And it's the most amazing thing when you sit there and you plan out like I'm currently living in my planning 12 to 36 months in the future. So I'm thinking 3 years ahead of where I am today, thinking about my business. How do I get from where I'm at today to where I want it to be? Right. And my job now is to create this reality of what I have up here into the financials and the numbers and the employees and the results into my companies. So
Exactly.
that gives you an idea of how a CEO today needs to think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's too many people trying to come in someone like your industry, and they're sitting there still fixing cars or delegating which parts need to go where. And then there's a paycheck, right? But nothing's growing. There's no foreseeable future, really, right? Because there's never the time to be in the planning room. Yeah, I love that. Why don't we hop back to that recession-proof topic now? Just because I just want to go on that for 5 or 10 minutes. I really want to hear both of you kind of explain, each side of the story and just how it's been going through that. I know I was a kid back in like '08. I know there was a big dip there. So I would love to hear about just what you do as an entrepreneur.
Oh,
You know,
you're hurting me.
business
You're
owner.
hurting me.
As an entrepreneur, how do you, of course, because you don't want to over diversify when the time's wrong, but discuss, are there pivot points? Are there times where you need to lay something down and pick something else back up, or how do you go about that?
I'm going to jump in first. So
Yeah.
one of the things that's really important is to pick a business that's what we call evergreen,
Okay.
which means that it's not seasonal, it's evergreen. People want it all year long, and they're going to want it for years. For example, healthcare. For example, auto repair. And until we go to the absolute autonomous vehicle and people don't have cars anymore, but we still have cars. So auto repair. There are many different kinds of industries that are evergreen, and you want to pick something that is that way. So even within the internet, even though the internet is relatively new, like the internet wasn't around when we were born, even though it's relatively new, there are still things that are evergreen, because people are always going to buy. People
Right.
are always going to be, a buyer is a buyer. And especially in the United States, people buy. You just have to figure out that what people will buy over and over and over again. And so that's part of how to recession proof is to pick something that is evergreen, not seasonal, and not something that's just a fad.
Yeah, and look, you guys are in wine and auto repair. During the recession, alcohol goes up because everyone's trying to forget about it. So the wine business is cranking during the recession. I think it's like alcohol and beauty supplies usually don't take a tank.
Well, it's interesting because alcohol goes up during a recession because people want to drown their sorrows. But when it's not a recession and everything's successful, people buy alcohol to celebrate.
Yeah.
Right?
That's evergreen.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
Well, the other thing if you want to talk about how you can recession-proof your business, here's something that a lot of folks I want to make sure. So what they do is they don't do the forward thinking about the back end. A lot of times they have a one sale, and they have to continue shaking the bushes to get more sales, right? So what if you have something that gives you the sale and at the same time has a back end, like a monthly recurring revenue? For example, in the car wash business, they have those $20, $30, $40 monthly charges on your credit card, and you can run your car through as many times as you want. Well, this is recurring revenue, and that money will be there whether it's raining, whether it's snowing, regardless, right? And then you have to you have a set amount, but if it's done properly, all of your overhead is covered by your monthly revenue.
Right.
You want to talk about recession proof, man. Yeah, and especially if you do it in small amounts like $20 or $30 or $40 a month,
right.
Very few people are going to notice that money is missing. And you have your big sale to start it off, and then you're recurring, right? So the more times, look, here's some simple economics. How do you increase the sales of your company, right? It's very simple. One is you get in new customers, right? Bring in new customers every time and you get sales up. Number two, have your customers come in more frequently, purchase more.
Yep.
Right?
Lifetime value has to go up, right?
Absolutely. And the third way, the third way is you have your customers buy bigger amounts. So you either get new customers, you have them come in more frequently, or you sell them more stuff. That's the only three ways that you can grow your business. Everything else is some variation of those three. Promise.
And there's one more point regarding recession proofing a business, and that is that commonly what happens is a business owner has some success and then they spend the money.
Yeah.
Just like people who they get their paycheck and they spend right up to the line or more than their paycheck. Okay, so there needs to be what we call a contingency fund. We don't call it a rainy day fund or something because we're not really preparing for that.
Right.
If you call it a rainy day fund, all you're going to get is rainy days.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a cushion, basically. You want to build yourself a cushion. And so here's a really simple way to do it. And this is something that Jerry does that I think is brilliant. And I wish that I had done this, is when you get credit card sales, pick a credit card, and Jerry chose American Express, and the American Express goes to a completely different account.
Okay.
And that goes into a savings account. The Discover, Visa, MasterCard, those go into the main operating account.
Okay.
However, the American Express sales goes into a different account at a totally different bank that's really difficult. I mean, you have to go over the river and through the woods to get to this bank.
Right.
And you can't get that money online. You actually have to go there to get it.
Okay.
So you create a cushion, because for those of us who have employees, it's really, really hard to lay someone off.
Wow. Yeah.
And these are people that like they've worked with us for 10, 15 years. And when you get to that point where you have employees that you've worked with for that long, you will do whatever it takes. And ask any business owner, as an employee, the employees don't see this part.
Right.
But as a business owner, we will do whatever it takes to take care of our employees first, sometimes even before we take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
So create that financial cushion for yourself so that if there is a downturn, or, for example, maybe not a recession in the economy, but maybe what people were buying from you dries up and there's some bright, new, shiny other thing that they want, that you have to scramble a little bit to get your feet back on the ground.
There's no better feeling in the world when you look at that. I dial up the number. I say dial up, right? I log in on the internet and I look on there and there's 6 figures sitting there. It's like, okay, no matter what happens, I've got many months worth of breathing room.
Yeah.
Right.
You want a minimum of 3 to 6 months of cushion.
Yep.
Like to pay your employees, your lights, your rent, your whatever it is that you may have, your mortgage.
Yeah. And you'll find that if you're in business, most of the time, your bills come 30 to 45 days after you've had the money. So if you're not planning for your cash flow, you can really get yourself set up in a huge a world of hurt. And that's the last thing anybody wants, right? So how you recession-proof your business is, first of all, you learn how to manage your cash. Managing cash is critical. It's paramount to taking care of recession issues. You know, recession doesn't stop business. Depressions stop business, but recessions just slow it down. Okay? I mean, I heard someone say, what's the difference between a recession and a depression? And a recession is my neighbor lost his job. A depression is I lost my job, right? Well, we have not had a depression, not one that's admitted to by the federal government since 1929. Well, I'll tell you that I disagree with that. Look at Las Vegas. Las Vegas in the 2008-2009 lost 50% of their property values. Holy crumb, those people were strung out on mortgages that there was no way in today the property has not rebounded its value. Okay, it hasn't regained. So, and I just pick on Las Vegas because it was on the top of my mind. I'm supposed to be at an event there next week.
Right, there you go.
But instead, I'm going to be in France with my wife for a month.
Well, that's even better.
I think so. I think I'll try and find a bottle of wine while we're over there. Maybe
I would pick most things over Vegas. Definitely France over Vegas.
Yeah, that's what I told them. They said, you're gonna be here, right? I said, yeah, no.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, and one of the things I even wanted to talk about was just the money mindset, and I think cash flow management is so important. And even myself, I mean, I remember the first time with my online business that I had a good month. And like, just admittedly, like I was horrible with the money I made. I instantly just was like, oh, I can spend money now because I made it. And it was just like, and I had to climb back out, instead of like, man, I could have put like, money into this thing or bought this. And I invested in some stuff too, but like, it wasn't in the right mindset. It was kind of just like, yeah, I'll throw that many dollars there, and we'll see what happens. and sometimes you got to burn your hand a little bit on the stove. So hopefully someone doesn't do that with millions of dollars. Luckily for me, it wasn't too much, but yeah, it's a lesson you have to go through. And you can't ignore it. And especially as you grow, cause it's tempting, right? Cause you get to a certain point, I'm sure, where the lifestyle you live is covered. And then it's just okay, so my life is good. What else can I have? Right. Or what else can I do? But then again, like you said, if there's a setback, the setback has more impact than doing good for a month, right? I think doing bad for a month has a little more impact than doing good for a month. We don't realize that.
Yeah.
Well, you said a couple things. So first of all, talking about doing good for a month versus doing bad for a month.
Yeah.
So here's a nugget for you, and for your listeners, your viewers.
Yep.
Pain avoidance is 10 times as powerful as gaining pleasure. I want to think about that. Avoiding pain is 10 times as powerful as gaining pleasure. So unfortunately, a lot of people, I won't say, but let me just say that the lesson is always deeper embedded when the lesson hurts, right? So some people have said, I've learned from my mistakes. Other people say, I've learned from the mistakes of others. I would like to throw something out there that's pretty unusual. I'd like you to be the group that learns from the success of others, not from their mistakes, but from their success. And if you're going to be successful, isn't it easier? Doesn't it make sense to follow someone who is successful and copy what they're doing and do what they do, rather than, look at that guy. He failed. He's broke, right? Look what he had to do to climb out of the hole. Well, why don't you skip the hole?
Yeah.
Skip all that downside. Forget all that business. Let's just go with someone who is got this trajectory going straight up.
Yeah.
The hockey stick.
Yeah.
So that's my little things that you were talking about. So
I'd like to also say something regarding you do a good month and then the next month might not be so good, especially if you spend the money.
Right.
So let's talk about this for a moment. And Jerry, you're really good at math, so I'm going to count on you for this. Let's just use a nice round number of $10,000.
Okay.
Let's just say you had a profit over and above all your expenses of $10,000. And you decide, I got this $10,000. I'm going to buy that new piece of something, or I'm just going to take the crew out for a rip-roaring weekend in the Bahamas, and we're going to blow that money. Okay, what if the next month you're down $5,000? Not only do you not have that money that you could have had, but how long would it take your company to make that money back plus the $10,000 that was lost? It would take months to do that. And so it's being very judicial with your money is so important, because it takes at least 4 to 6 times longer to get the money back that you lost than just simply getting it back the next month. Jerry, would you say that's accurate?
Oh my God, yeah, without question. Because not only, so you come from the high of being up to 10 grand, and then the next month,
and it's wonderful. Don't get me wrong, it is great.
Right, it is, right. And then you don't have zero, you're down 5. So you go from, it's a $15,000 swing that you've got to make up now, right? I mean, because you started off as up 10, and now you're down 5. Well, that's a $15,000 swing.
Yep.
And so how do you make this up? It takes forever. I mean, it seems like forever. Of course it isn't, but 6 months, easy. I had a lesson happen to me many, many, many years ago.
Okay.
And at the time, the business we were in, we were working at about a 5% net profit. So not huge money. We worked our butts off. It was a 5% net profit. And I talked to someone. I said, man, I want to go buy that desk. I wanted a new desk in my office. And the desk was like $2,500. It was a really nice desk. And I deserved it. I worked hard for it. We had a good month, et cetera, et cetera. And the guy says, well, are you sure you want to do that? I said, what are you talking about? He says, what's your net profit in the company? I said, well, it's 5%. He says, how much money do you have to make at a 5% net profit to pay $2,500 for that desk? And I whipped out my calculator and I showed him, and he says, is that desk worth $50,000 of work that you have to do to pay for that $2,500 desk?
Mm.
It's not the 2,500. It's what do you have to do to net the 2,500?
Right.
In the business I was in, it was $50,000 worth of labor and work for me to make the 2,500. And that was such a huge eye-opener for me back in 1985 that has stuck with me my entire career. So anytime I look at something, okay, I'm going to go buy this. What's it going to cost? Not just numbers today, but
Right.
what do I have to do to earn that money? And that, my friend, is where a lot of people absolutely screw up with their cash flow because they failed to calculate what they have to do to get that money.
Right, right. Yeah, they're looking for this reward and they're not calculating the whole risk that it takes to get there. Yeah, that's a big thing too. And I can only imagine too when you're paying employees, because it's like you said, you have the 5% net. So how many people do I have to pay? How many products do I have to sell? How many bills do I have to pay just to cover that? And all of a sudden the desk isn't worth it, you know? And
Exactly. And today I'll tell you, we're not at 5% net profit anymore. So it's substantially higher than that.
yeah, you can get a new desk. Did you ever saw that show, The Office? With,
long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now they're like, whatever, they're selling all the items on eBay. You can buy the desk that they had at the front for like thousands of dollars. So maybe you can get that desk now.
No, I'm actually getting away from desks. So
I like that. Yeah, I'm going to move to the standing desk. I don't really sit at mine a lot. I'm usually just moving around.
Yeah, I run around too much. I like not having that. But anyway, that's just so you want to recession proof your business? Part of that is understanding cash flow. Part of that is understanding the economics of your business. Part of that is knowing for sure what you have to do to make enough money to pay all the bills that you have. That's huge.
Wow. Yeah, I love that. That's some good money mindset stuff and really good on the recession proof. I like, Laura, too, what you had to say about the evergreen model. I think that'll stick with a lot of people. And hopefully if you're watching this, you think about that in depth, right? You don't just go on with your day and you're like, okay, yeah, an evergreen business. Like, think about your actual business. I mean, even we have our Client Core program, and it's the program where we work with people and stuff. But again, like, I have to think in a recession, our business owner is going to want to pay $10,000, $15,000, and maybe they will, right? But I really have to sit down and think about that. And I think it's unique also looking that you guys have some traditional business models that are seriously recession proof, and is there a way to combine that and whatnot? So yeah, it's a really interesting topic. I have another question too, which I think is really interesting. I'd like to hear it from both viewpoints. What do you think is the hardest part about being an entrepreneur, and how do you deal with it? Like, what's just the hardest thing? Like after you've been doing it for so many years, you've built up multiple things, like you have so much flowing, like what's the hardest part? Because I always think I feel like, oh man, this is the hardest part. And then like 2 weeks go by and I'm like, no, this is the hardest part. So that's always like going in your head. Like what was the most difficult thing, or is it an ongoing thing? Like, what does that look like?
The hardest part is thinking that it's going to get easy, and it never does.
That's a good one. Yeah, I kind of figured that'd be the answer.
There are some things that get easier. There are some things,
right,
like choosing the people that you're going to hire.
Okay.
You get a sense of who people are after years and years of hiring and firing.
Right.
That's Jerry and I actually wrote a book about that. So that gets easier. There are some things that get harder as economies change, as people change, as people's interests change.
Right.
Our own bright, shiny object syndrome, things that it's like, oh, maybe I could go do that. It's like, oh, wait a minute. I said, keep the main thing, the main thing.
Right.
Marketing is constantly changing, and yet in so many ways staying the same. It's keeping up with everything. So really does sometimes seems like, we've been in business for so long, this should be easier.
Right.
And there are times when it just feels like I'm starting all over again, even though we know we're not.
Yeah.
Even though, like in Jerry's business, he has the grandparents, the parents, and the grandchildren, and they are now having children that are coming into the shop to get their vehicles repaired.
Right.
So it's you have to constantly be diligent.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Jerry,
love that.
what would you say?
Well, I would like to add something here that I just want to make it a point. So, first of all, the average auto repair shop, I think I want to make this point for your viewers, and
I'll
so
make
they have a better understanding. Okay,
Okay.
so the average auto repair shop in the United States of America does $350,000 a year. It
Okay.
is the owner and maybe one or two employees, and at the end of the year, the owner nets $19,000.
Wow.
Not much.
Okay, I want you to be really clear.
Wow. I
They
didn't know
they
that.
make $19,000. So I hit $1 million in 1991.
Wow.
Okay, we did $1 million in sales in 91 and haven't gone back. So I'm just telling you, I just want you to be really clear, right? You're not listening to an auto mechanic. I mean, I'm a certified master, recertified master, internationally recognized automotive expert, but I don't turn wrenches for a living. Look at my hands. Come on now. I haven't turned a wrench in more than 20 years because I understand the business end of the business. And this is where a lot of people get into trouble is they go, "Hey, I'm a really good air conditioning tech, or I'm a really good plumber. I need to
Right.
open up my own business." And most of them go broke really, really quickly because they
Yeah.
are great techs, but they don't know squat about the business aspect of the business. And that, my friends, is where all the difference is made. And that's what Laura and I teach. We teach the business aspect of business. And we've got it down. This is why we own so many companies, and all of our clients are in all diverse businesses because we found the formula of business and we've been successful in applying it to every business that we touch with it. Okay. Now, with that being said, I want to go back to the hardest part of being an entrepreneur. Laura said, you think that it's going to get easier. We have, after almost 40 years, we have the same issues that most entrepreneurs have. We have somewhat of the shiny object syndrome, right? Squirrel. Oh, look at that, right? And
Right.
we're gone. We're gone at some, and then squirrel.
Yeah.
Every
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Oh, look, it's squirrel. Right? Oh, shit. Oh, the phone's ringing. Here, let's get the phone. Oh, let me. There's always something pulling your attention.
Right. Right.
Well, after being involved in business for so many years, you almost get used to it.
Okay.
It's no longer the roller coaster of business. It used to spike really huge. Now it's just kind of like this, right? You still get the ups and downs,
Right.
but I don't freak out about it.
It's mellow.
And I don't let my team freak out about it because they go, oh my God, this is going on. Come on, let me show you the Excel spreadsheets. Let me show you the charts. Let me show you the historical data, right? Relax, give it a week, you'll be fine. And so that aspect of it continues to get easier as time goes on because we've done it for so long, right? And so the hardest part, I really think that Laura is spot on when she says keeping up with the marketing, keeping up with what works with marketing. That is, if I could say my number one job with this after strategic planning is being a marketer. I have to stay on top of what is effective marketing for this business today.
Yep.
It was different a year ago. It was different 5 years ago, 20 years ago. Oh my God, what a different world.
Right. Yeah.
So if you go back to let's say the mid '90s, the cable TV channels in Dallas had a total of 7 stations. There were only 7 stations on cable.
That's crazy.
That was it, right? And it was very easy to go, okay, I want this demographic, I want this psychographic, and we would just run 30-second spots, and we knew exactly who was going to be watching.
Right.
Well, today, how many thousands of options are there for your marketing potential? And where, this, what you have to do is you have to know, number one, you have to know exactly who your top clients are. Exactly. Right. And then you have to know, where do they congregate? Where do you find these people? And then you have to know what media is going to attract them, right? What message is going to attract them? So today, the majority of our marketing is A/B split testing. You have to test. Otherwise, I'm going to tell you, why don't you just take some money and just throw it away? Just put a match to it and burn it, because that's exactly what's going to happen to you. So for me, the hardest part today is the marketing, staying up with it.
And it's more than just that. So yes, I want to just elaborate a little bit on this, because, for example, in Jerry's auto repair business, the generation before the millennials, they had a different relationship to vehicles than millennials do. Many of them, they started having children at a much younger age. Like, they were having children when they were 20 to 25 years old.
Right.
And so they had the minivan, they had certain things. And so we could market to them.
Right.
Millennials, many of them don't have a car. Like, we have some employees that come to work in Uber every day.
And they don't even own a car.
They don't own a car, and they work in an auto repair shop. So, and some of the car wash guys, they take the bus to work. And so it's knowing who your customer is, knowing how you can really hone in on finding your perfect customer, and really knowing what's in their head. Seeing, this is another recession-proof thing, is seeing who is being born now, who's in high school now, who's in elementary school now, who's in college now, and at what age are they going to want your product, if they're going to even want your product. Like, for the millennials, many of them won't ever own a vehicle. So especially with autonomous vehicles coming online. So you have to really look at what is the business that you're in, and how can you make sure that you can reach the people that you need to make your business successful. And if the people that are being born aren't going to be interested in that, you need to find something that they are interested in.
Right.
Wow.
Very good.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and gosh, I mean, the kids growing up now, like, I mean, their attention spans, that's just like, they don't exist. So it's gonna be pretty interesting. If I owned SoundCloud, I'd be pretty happy, because all of them, they want to be SoundCloud musicians. That person's going to make a lot of money. And Fortnite, that's another one, that video game. Everyone's playing that. Yeah. So it's like, it's crazy to see how it changes though. But yeah, I think for like our lifespan, we should be good with the vehicles. I don't know if you saw the interview with Joe Rogan and Elon, but that kind of like really opened my eyes to just like the direction that they're moving with the AI and smart vehicles and energy free and whatnot. So it's really interesting.
Is that the one where he was smoking marijuana and drinking?
Yeah. I think he was trying to buy back some stock shares, so he was just lighting it up on stream and then gonna buy it back after or something.
Oh my God! He got in so much trouble. They're actually doing a criminal investigation over this.
Oh my gosh, really?
Oh my God, yes, for real.
Wow.
Because first of all, you cannot discuss a publicly traded company with things like buybacks without it going through Wall Street.
Wow.
I mean, he could really be in trouble over this. And then, for God's sake, all of the investors, Wall Street, has kind of lost faith in Elon because he's smoking marijuana and drinking whiskey. Like, really?
Oh gosh.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
forget where he came from, though. That's all.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm
in
just saying.
Europe, it's a whole different world.
Yeah, and I mean, you're on a podcast with Joe Rogan. Like, you know, something's crazy is going to happen.
Yeah.
Right? Of course
He's
it
a
is.
character. That's awesome. Well, anyway, this is some good stuff. So I wanted to cover money mindset. I wanted to cover. Oh, there's one other thing too.
No, we're done.
No, one more thing. We got to do this one more thing, and I'll let you guys go because I know the plane for France is taking off soon. And we kind of we've actually kind of danced around this topic, so I just want to tie it together with this: the long term versus the short term, because that's like that was like the big reason I wanted to get on this call is the long term versus short term. Because right now, you know, like I'm existing in the short term of business. You guys have gone through the long term of business. Like even for someone in my shoes, and a lot of our crowd is around this demographic. So what should we be thinking? Like there's things we need to do short term, of course, but like
Are you saying I'm old? Is that it? You're saying
No.
I'm old? Thanks, man. You hurt my last feeling. I have none left.
oh my gosh. Oh gosh.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. It's so funny because bringing up this topic, I knew you guys are such jokesters. I knew something like that would come up. But yeah, but like the long term versus short term. I mean, there's things we have to do now, but how do you think about that? I mean, even when you started out, I mean, because you know you don't really know what exists in the future, right? I mean, you know, so like how do you approach that?
I'd like to go first on this one. So one of the things regarding short term, even something that's short term, you have to look long term what it is that you really want.
Okay.
And I'll give you an example. If your goal is to sell your business, then short term, you need to do everything that you can in order to make that business saleable. Like for example, you cannot be working in the business. You have to be basically overseeing the business, and you have a team so that an investor or another bigger business wants to come in and buy it. So you have to, even short term, think long term what it is that you want. So if you're interested in selling your business, you have to make your business saleable. And then you have, because it generally will take 3 to 5 years to sell a business.
Okay.
So just let that sink in. 3 to 5 years. Some of you may not even be in business 3 to 5 years yet. Have never maybe even heard the term make your business saleable. So you have to figure out what it is that you want. Now, if your company is an evergreen company and it's something that you absolutely love, Jerry, you're making some kind of noise in the background there. If your company is an evergreen company and it's something that you absolutely love that you're going to do for 20 years, then really make it streamlined. Really make it so that it is, I'm going to use the term like a racehorse. Like it is streamlined. It does exactly what it needs to do. It can run by itself. It has a really good manager that's guiding it like a jockey would be on a racehorse. That's the goal regarding your business. Even if it's a business that you love, that you're like, I love this business and no one else can do it as good as me. Well, you still need to get somebody who can do it even better than you in your business to hire, because that person's going to brainstorm with you. Like Corey, you have Jan that you guys bat ideas back with each other.
Of course, yeah.
Jerry and I have each other to bat ideas across with each other. So whether it's short-term or long-term, you have to know your long-term goals and have that in mind. What is it that you really want your life to look like?
Right. Yeah, I love that. That's so important. Like being clear on what you want is insanely important. I love that too, how you look at it on a long-term level. Cause like knowing what you want next week could be easy, right? I know what I want next week, but like,
yeah.
Do I know what I want in 6 months, 12 months, 3 years, 5 years? And like, once you know what that is, you have to start today building that every day.
Exactly. Especially if your goal is to sell your business. First, you have to figure out who's out there that might even buy your business. Like who might even think it's worth something. Right. Because a lot of people think their business is worth something and it may be making a profit for you right now, but long-term, will it? And that's what an investor, that's what other companies are looking at.
that data is so important, right? If the data doesn't match up, they're not going to want it.
Data is king.
Mm.
Cash is king. Okay, data is queen.
Yeah, it really is. It honestly is. That's awesome. Jerry, do you have anything you want to elaborate on with that topic? And then I'll let you guys
Of,
wrap up here.
of course I do. Are you kidding? Your Highness, your Royal Highness, you are so correct. I just want to throw that out there, okay?
Yes.
So here's a question that I'm just going to throw out. It's one of those rhetorical questions. And the question is, why is it that most people don't get what they want?
Yeah.
And that answer is because they don't know what they want. They have no idea. They've never, where's this thing? See, they've never turned this thing off long enough. They've never got away from the iPads or the computers or their phone and spent enough time to really soul search and figure out what it is that they really, really, really want.
Because commonly they think that what they want is what everyone else has.
Yeah.
And it may not be what a person truly wants.
I love that. I love that one. That was a killer. I love that because that is so true, especially like you said, Jerry, and then Laura, you just tied it up perfectly there. What everyone else has. And even what's worse now with the social media is the perception of what other people have. They may not even have it. You may be fighting for something that doesn't even exist or thinking you want. And it's just, it gets into an ugly loop, you know, and you see.
Dude, I'm telling you, I have seen those guys where they had their photos sitting on the hood of the Rolls Royce as the tow truck was waiting in the driveway to repo the damn thing. Okay. But it made the photos, it made it look like this bozo was really successful.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to tell you, my Platinum Escalade is paid for. We wrote a check when I bought it. I don't have to worry about that. And it's what I want to drive. My wife's CTS, we wrote a check when we bought it. My house, all that stuff, we don't have any of that issue.
Wow.
And that brings us to, why is it that most people are not successful? And the answer is because they give up what they really want for what they want in the moment.
Boom.
Right? Here's an example, right? I want to get down to 180 pounds, but that frickin' apple pie a la mode looks really good to me, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Right? I want to walk on the moon, but there's no way in hell I'm going through astronaut training. You know what I mean? There's just, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Right? I'd rather go, rather than, hey, I want to be an Olympic marathoner at my age. I want to do that. But I can't get my butt off the couch because I'm watching The Office.
Right.
No. It does,
something.
Your words have to be congruent with your actions.
Yeah.
Okay? You never trust a skinny chef. Come on, the guy's not eating his own food, for God's sake. Right? There has to be congruency. Your action, you have to walk the talk. Too many people are running their mouth and not doing what they say they do, or not doing what they say that they teach people to do, right? Find people that listen, walk the talk, do what you say you're going to do, and make it real.
I love that. I love that so much.
Thanks.
That's awesome.
I mean, that's just how we live our lives, right? This is what we do. This is what Laura and I do, right? I mean, we talked about it. We're going to spend October in France. We're going down to Bordeaux. Okay, we're going to spend some time there, and then we rented.
We're staying in a castle. It has a moat. There's only 5 bedrooms.
And we rented the river barge. And so we have 3 couples that are going to meet us. And we chartered the whole boat. So, I mean, it's, you get to do that when you know how to plan for recession, when you know how to handle your cash flow, when you know how to run companies, when you have good people and you have good systems and good processes. And, if I can't do it myself, how can anybody teach you how to do it? I mean, it's just not happening. So we actually walk our talk. We do what we show people how to do. It's a beautiful thing. I love my life. I love my life. I sit there in the mornings. I kind of go, I pinch myself. Is this real? I'm doing it right.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's
And
amazing.
so to really solidify what it is that Jerry is saying regarding success is success goes hand in hand with your own personal integrity. If you say you're going to do something by when to someone, then you better make sure that that's done. You better make sure that you're there, that you've done it, that you can hold your head up and say, yes, I did that. And not just to someone else, to yourself. That's the biggest thing, because that bright, shiny object syndrome is so alluring. It's so alluring to take the money that you have and spend it. Now, Jerry and I, we've basically earned the right to go out and do things. It's actually, we're using money that I've helped Jerry to make in investments. So we're not even spending the golden goose. And that's a whole nother mindset topic.
Yeah, see, that's something you really
never
need to get into.
Spend the golden goose.
Right.
Only the profits from the golden goose.
That's right.
Or the investments. Right. So it's really success. The road to success is your own personal integrity, your integrity with yourself and your integrity with the people around you. If you say you're going to do something, you better darn well do it, or you will fail.
I love that. That's awesome. Let's end on these two things. And I want to end with you guys giving a little pitch for what you guys do. That way, any of our viewers here, and like I said, I want a ton of people to see this. That way you guys can offer your help. Just one quick question too, just about working with us. The one thing we wanted to do with our clients that is different from anybody else in the space is actually Jan and myself wanted to, and you just talked about integrity. We wanted to make a promise to ourselves that, regardless of how big we grow, we always want to somehow be personally involved with our clients. And I know we've had a lot of calls back and forth. How is that? And you guys have invested in everything. You guys are also in some really great stuff like the Genius Network. But aside from other like programs and things you've been in, has that been like different actually having the people who are at the top working with you guys? Does that feel different and actually make it worth the investment?
It really made a big difference for me. Because, well, first of all, I'm the one that set up the majority of the things that you asked us to do regarding our marketing.
Right.
And so it was very helpful to have the videos to watch, the step-by-step. This is how you set up your LinkedIn. This is how you do all your stuff. And the bots. I love the bots. Bots are so awesome.
Bots are cool. And Elon loves the bots.
Yes. And not only that, Jerry and I, over the last 20, 40 years, have gotten really, really good at marketing. And yet there's just something about having someone else take our copy, our words, which is what the copy is, and hone in, even dial it in even more about what to say and how to get our message across. We're pretty good at it, although now I feel that it's even more streamlined. And the whole sales funnels are streamlined. And when I ran into a snag that was like, I am just not getting this, I don't know what you're asking here from me, I could send you an email or put a chat in the Google Docs and ask a question, or just send a text message and get an instant answer. I'm the kind of person that I'm an action taker. I
noticed that too. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit around and wait until next week thinking about how to do something. If I don't know how, I'm going to ask. And
That's
so,
awesome.
Yeah, thanks. That's how stuff gets done. You just take massive action. Massive action. Say it again, Jerry.
Massive action.
You're gonna open your mouth really wide.
Well, I appreciate that. I don't take too much time on our stuff, but I appreciate that. And then just to end here, where can people find you guys, and what do you do for people, real quick, with BBMM?
BBMMUSA.com. BBMMUSA.com. That's Business Builders Mentor and Mastermind USA.com. Awesome. But just use the initials. You'll find a website. That's our website. You'll see some of our success stories. Jerry talking to people. I'm pretty much in the background on that website.
No. I'm just a pretty face.
Yeah.
No.
He's my arm candy.
That's the one.
I'm the brains behind it all. So, wow, he didn't deny it. Thank you. So, yeah, that's the easiest way to find us. You can find our book on Amazon.
What's the book called?
Hiring a Superstar.
Okay.
How to hire the administrative staff for your small business, getting the cream of the crop. It's really fantastic. It's a very inexpensive book. There's no fluff in that book. It's all just system. It's the hiring system that we use to hire our amazing employees.
Awesome.
So that's a way. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn. You can find us either of those ways. And
they'll come and find you. Trust me. All the people they'll find you. They'll be offering you everything. You'll be getting offered lipstick, t-shirts, training, all of it.
Fantastic.
Okay,
Well,
just for the record, I don't do lipstick. Please, no lipstick.
Don't offer our clients lipstick if you're watching this.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. This has been awesome, and I'm excited.
Thanks, Corey.
To be back on it. Do you guys have any other last notes to leave with our viewers?
There's only one other thing. One is that because Jerry and I are so busy, and because we do travel a lot, and in our mastermind, it's a very small mastermind. It's a very exclusive mastermind. So if you're new in business, you don't have employees, or you're not doing over, let's say, 500,000, then you need to work your way up to get there before we will be able to accept you. So awesome. I don't want you to waste your time or ours. We really are looking for people who are already up there and want to take their business triple or even quadruple their business within the next 6 months to a year. That's who we're looking for.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I just need to say, Corey, it's been fun working with you. I really appreciate it. The tweaks that you've helped us to achieve have been worth it.
Thank you.
I wouldn't.
I like also that your whole system is very streamlined. I knew exactly what to do next, and then being on the calls every week, we created a game plan and action plan every week, and that was super helpful.
Yeah, and now we have a good relationship too. It's awesome. I like this is what we envision too. We don't want to just like have people pay, dump, and then forget it. Like our goal is to create a network, the core of client businesses, create this network and have valuable people like yourselves. So thank you guys for taking the time to do this interview. And I'll let you know when it's done.
All right, guys. Thanks, everybody.
Thank
See ya.
you.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Bye.